you need to have thick skin. You've got to be resilient. You've got to have the ability to not let the opinions and the weight of other people get you down. And sometimes it's really hard. And I feel like maybe there was a greater reason to all of this, that the bullying at school and writing the book at a young age and feeling very different was setting me up to have this ability to be a really good person and really genuinely care, whilst also having thick enough skin where it doesn't get you down, because it's easy to get down sometimes in business.
Let's get into it. All right, everyone listening, this is Brianna, probably just one of my favorite humans on the planet. Without her, I don't think I would be still running my business, to be honest. So welcome. I am so excited to have you on the show today. Tell people a little bit about you just to give them a feel before we dive into your story.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me on here. It's such a pleasure. And you are one of my favorite people as well. So that makes both of us. So I'm Brianna. I'm from Oxford in England. And I've always just had this mission to help as many people as I can to scale their business, but really build a life of overflow. So my company's name and mission and movement is all about overflow. So making a lot of money by helping a lot of people. So the byproduct of the impact, the byproduct of being so passionate about what you do and having this drive to be like the number one person in your field of work means that you live a life of overflow. You can have the time, the freedom, the money, the wealth, the happiness, the health, the impact, and all the things. And so really that's me and that's my life goal. And it feels like it's been my life goal since I was about 6. So it's definitely something that I'm very passionate about.
Yes, and that is a perfect segue into let's go all the way back. You say 6. Tell us more about that. We love knowing origin stories, like where it all started, where this passion came from. So usually my question is, what was your first work that brought in some money? You know, like what did you do? But let's go back to when you were 6. Why do you say that? I'd love to know.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's one that I don't fully know the answer to, because I don't know why I was like it at 6. You know, at 6, I always had such a different mindset to everyone else. You know, when you're at primary school and you're in your young years of school and the teacher says, you know, what do you want to be when you're older? And people usually say things like a teacher or a footballer or an astronaut or a, you know, whatever, a ballerina. And I just used to say that I wanted to change the world somehow. I used to always say I wanted to make enough money to solve homelessness. I just didn't want anyone to be homeless. And now I'm an adult, I look back and I think, what a interesting frame of mind to have at such a young age. But I really just wanted to make people happier. And I couldn't articulate it from a young age. I just wanted people to be happy. And I don't know where that came from. I wasn't around sadness as a child. I didn't grow up around sadness as a child. So it's not like I was a product of an environment that was very sad. So that's why I wanted to make everyone happy. I actually came from a very happy background. But I just had this, it really was a feeling that I'm going to do something that changes a lot of people's lives for the better. So that was around kind of 6. And then when I got to 7, I started writing a book. And this is how I made my first money. I was 7 and I started writing a book. I remember it so clearly. It was the school holidays. I think I was annoying my parents like children do, where I was like, what can we do? Where can we go? Where's the next thing that we're doing? Like, where are we going today? And I remember my mum and dad saying to me, you know, why don't you go write a book or something like that? Like, go and write a book and use your, you know, I was very intelligent as a child. So I did. I didn't tell them I was going to go and write the book. I just went and started writing this book. And about, I don't know, a week or 2 later, I came downstairs and I said to them, I finished the book. And they were like, you actually went and wrote the book? And I said, yeah. And I remember we were sat around the kitchen table and they read it and they were like, it's actually really good. Like, it's actually a really good book. So that was like the starting point of everything that's unfolded since.
That's incredible. And you got it published, right? It printed and all of the things from what I remember.
Yeah, it was selling in the bookstores, multiple bookstores. You could buy it online. It was in all of the school libraries. It was my face was on the newspaper. I was on the news reading out my book.
Oh,
There were lots of little snippets of me, and yeah, it was wild looking back now. And the moral of the book, and this is what I can't still wrap my head around, is the book had a moral, and I actually wrote 4 books. We only got one published. But I went to secondary school and then got bullied for it. So I decided not to publish the other ones. Now I wish I'd done it. But the moral of the first book was to treat other people how you wish to be treated. And again, I'm like, that's a really deep concept for a child. And this book was about a witch and these 2 children called Sophie and Charlie. And Charlie was named after my sister Charlize, who was a bit of a tomboy at the time, so she wanted to be called Charlie, and her best friend at the time was called Sophie, so it was Charlie and Sophie, and the witch would play tricks on them, so they played a trick back on the witch, and the witch obviously didn't like it, and it was the whole concept of treat other people how you wish to be treated. And yeah, that was such a wild roller coaster of my life at such a young age to write a book with such a deep meaning.
Yes. Wow. Incredible. And this is the first time I actually know a little bit about the story. So that's very, very cool. And yes, that is super deep. And sometimes you remind me of my son. He also has this very deep thinking, and I always think he must have come from another life where he's bringing all these lessons because it's just so much more mature than anyone else. And yeah. All right. So now, and you did mention, so you moved, what do you call it? Secondary school?
Yeah, secondary
Yeah.
school. I went to
Yeah.
secondary school and got bullied at secondary
Yes.
school, yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then you stopped and then because you were bullied. So tell us a little bit
Yeah.
more about that journey because I know and that is so hard.
Yeah, it was interesting because even in younger school, like we call it primary school, I'm not sure what you guys call it,
Yeah.
but
Primary
primary
in South
school,
Africa, elementary in America.
yeah, elementary school. I didn't even really felt like I fit in there. I've never had like a real solid friendship group. I've now got some really good solid friends, but I met them later on in life. And I went to secondary school and my face was in the library in the school book, Subla the Witch, that was the name of the book, and there was my face in it. And with a name like Brianna, even though we used my middle name, it's obviously me. It's got my face, it's got my first name, it's clearly me. And I was just really picked on a lot. I was picked on a lot for my size. I'm still only like just over 5 foot. I think I'm like 5'1". So I was this small, nerdy, covered in acne kid who was just such an easy target. And if you think of a kid that's going to get bullied, I think I ticked a lot of the boxes. And it was so strange because I was always so nice. I remember thinking like, why would you bully me? I'm really nice. Like, I'm probably too nice. I was never mean to anybody. I never left anybody out. I was very aware of how other people might feel in situations. So if like a friendship group started pushing someone out, I was always very aware of that. We had like a buddy system where you could go and sit on this bench if you had no friends to play with, and there would be people that would be your friend, so like a buddy support network. And I was always the person waiting for someone who needed a friend. Like I was always that person that just cared so deeply about other people that I never understood why people bullied me. I never got it really. And I remember it got so bad one time. We only lived about a 5-minute walk away from the school. And I remember leaving my house, crying all the way to school, getting to the bend where you went round to the gate and being like, you've got to pull yourself together. Like, you're going in there, you can't let them see that this is affecting you. Stop crying, wipe your tears, walk in, knowing that you're probably, gonna get bullied. Or I was spat on a lot at school. Like, how disgusting. Like, what a gross thing to do.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
I knew that it was probably going to happen, but it was one of those things that I just had to deal with, I guess, in the best way that I possibly could at the time. But I'm kind of grateful for it in a way, because it made me so strong as a character. And running a business, you need to have thick skin. You've got to be resilient. You've got to have the ability to not let the opinions and the weight of other people get you down. And sometimes it's really hard. And I feel like maybe there was a greater reason to all of this, at the bullying at school and writing the book at a young age. And feeling very different was setting me up to have this ability to be a really good person and really genuinely care, whilst also having thick enough skin where it doesn't get you down, because it's easy to get down sometimes in business.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh, you just made me think of so many questions. So, and I was also bullied in school, also very similar feeling. I was also super nice. I didn't hurt a fly. I could never say a bad word back to people. You know, I'd just take it and take it and take it. And so now in hindsight, and so that's why I'm going to ask you this question, I think back to those people and I feel really sad for them. Like, what were they going through that they had to spit on you? Like, do
Yeah.
you feel that compassion, or are you like good riddance? Like, you know, I'd love to just know where you are in your mind space with those people, because
Mm.
I'm sure you can still name them, right? Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can name all
Yeah.
of mine.
I can name them and they still watch my Instagram stories. And sometimes I think, why? What are you watching for? Like you don't like me, you know, or
Yes.
maybe they do now. I don't know, but they didn't 20 years ago. So, and I do have a lot of compassion for people, and I've realized a lot. I think I was maybe about 15 when I heard the phrase hurt people. And it made me realize, gosh, that is so true. And now looking back at the people that bullied me, and probably the very little I know about their life, they did have a lot going on. You know, they did have things happen in their life, even that I was aware of, that people were just aware of, that they would tell friends and it would get around. Like, I think, gosh, you probably did it as a self protection. And you being horrible to me made you feel somewhat more powerful, made you feel better about yourself very momentarily. And if that was their way of dealing with it, I don't condone bullying whatsoever. But I feel very sad for that, because I think the reality is it doesn't just happen in childhood. There's even adults, there's fully grown adults who have plenty of life experience that still act like those children do. But apart from when you're a child, you don't have the emotional intelligence to know what you're doing and why you're acting. Whereas as an adult, you do, and you can start to look more inwards and think, why am I acting like this? Is it a trigger from within me? Is it a self-protection? Is it a defense mechanism? And so I do have a lot of empathy for them. I mean, they did make my school life pretty horrific, but I do now think, I hope they've dealt with the things that they must have been going through, because that's a lot to carry as a child, and it's a lot to carry as an adult.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. And it's a little bit freeing for you as well to think of it like that. Okay, let's move on now. So we stopped when you were 15 and then 16. Um, tell us from 16. I know you started opening up your own business. You met someone, all of that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, I wish I knew you less, because I'm like, I've got
You know so
questions.
much.
I know. And I'm like trying not to.
That's fine.
Anyway, okay.
Ask me
So
anything.
from
I'm an open
16
book.
on.
Yeah, I'm an open book. You can literally
Yeah.
ask me anything. So 15 was an interesting year. I had my first proper boyfriend at 15. We were together for like 10 months, I think. And then he broke up with me and I was literally heartbroken. I remember crying on my bed to my parents, being like, I love him so much. Like, I'm never going to find someone that I love as much as him. And in the moment, like, I was convinced I was going to marry this guy. You know, like, this was a serious thing. I was like, we're a forever thing, me and you. And I remember when I was like so sad, and I think like my eating disorder kicked in around then. I'm not going to blame the breakup, but it was like, I think the sadness, the eating disorder was kind of on the horizon anyway. And then I think the sadness of it meant that I used the eating disorder as some kind of like control mechanism around maybe what I was dealing with. I don't know if that's actually what happened, but that kind of makes the most logical sense. And at the time, I had this little friendship group, and one of the guys in the friendship group, who's now my husband, was so lovely to me. Like, he was so lovely, and he used to say, like, you know, you don't need him. Like, you're better than him. And I had this big picture on my wall of me and my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend, when we went to prom. And Carl came and he was like, we're taking this down off the wall. Like, we're not having this on the wall. You can't sit crying yourself to sleep every night looking at this picture. So Carl was like a massive part of my life, because then about 6 months after that, me and Carl started dating. I was 16 and Carl had just turned 17. And I also started my business at 16. So 16 was a really like pivotal year, because I met Carl and we're still together and we've been married for 3 years now. But it's like, I met Carl, I started my business. I really started focusing more on my business. So that's where I lost a lot of the friends that I'd managed to get over the later years of school life by trying to be cool and fit in and, be a bit rebellious. I tried really hard to fit in, and I started losing those friends at 16 because suddenly I was a little bit boring. I didn't want to go out and I didn't want to do all of the things. I wanted to work on my business. So 16 was a really pivotal year, and met Carl. We obviously I lived at home, he lived at home. But he was over all the time and he was so supportive of my business. And so I started my first business, which was initially just helping people with their social media. And I remember at the time being like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just know I'm really good at this. And social media then was very new. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram wasn't really a thing. Twitter, Facebook, they were like the main two. LinkedIn was floating around. And I just cold pitched as many people as I could. I was just like, give me a shot. Like, I'm 16. I haven't even left school. I've got no experience, but I'm really good at this. And I just I just kept asking. I would email, I would ring until someone gave me a shot.
Yeah, that is amazing. I love that part of your story because, wow, 16, that is so young. Most people are just trying to be cool, just trying to make it through school. And here you
Yeah.
are, just, I need to start this business. And that insight that you were good at it, like without knowing anything, as you put it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not true, but you just had this like instinct and this gut feel and this belief in yourself, which, yeah, I love. I love that part. All right. And then, so started at 16. Now you're running this business. How long did it last? How did it grow? When did it stop?
So that particular business I ran for 10 years. So I ran it from 16 to 26, and I loved it. It grew and changed a lot over the years. What started out as me just helping people with their social media for their business turned into me going in and doing training. I used to present in front of lots of business owners and do big corporate training. I would train smaller companies. I would manage their entire social media. I would go in and consult with their marketing department. So depending on the client, depended on my role. And then I started growing the business where it went from just social media to social media and websites, social media SEO and websites, blog writing, copywriting, graphic design. And I would hire people, and it grew into an amazing business. I was really proud of the business that I built, and we had clients all over the world. It was amazing, really. But I was so burnt out, and I realized, like, it was New Year's Eve 2022. So me and Carl had been married about 5 months. We got married in August, so about 5 months, 4 months. But at the back of our house, we overlook a farm. It's quite far away, but we can see the farm from our garden. And every New Year, they have a firework display. And me and Carl were watching the firework display out of our bedroom window. And I said to Carl, something has to change. Like, I've built this business. I'm so proud of the business that I've built, but I've completely neglected myself in the process. Like, this has been an incredible thing that I've done. And the results we got clients were phenomenal. Even I'd be like, this is amazing. Like, what we have done for these companies was so good. But I'd completely forgot about myself in the process. So over those 10 years, there was lots of pivots, lots of changes, lots of growth, hiring team, learning how to even scale a business. I mean, I was so naive to this, and I didn't have anyone that could even tell me what to do. It's not like I'm born into a family of entrepreneurs, right? Like, I was just like winging it. My dad was a massive support. He runs his own company now, but at the time he didn't. And he was a great support. He would come networking with me. He would support me. He'd believe in me. And I just used to be like, I'll figure this thing out, like we'll figure it out as we go along. And that really happened for 10 years until I realized I can't keep doing this. Something has to change. And that thing that had to change was, how was my business set up in a way that also was good for me? It wasn't just good for my clients. It wasn't just good financially. It wasn't just good in terms of business growth, but it was also good for me. So that's when I burnt the whole thing down and started again from zero.
Oh, right. We have to go through that because 10 years, and you said as we opened up the shows that you need thick skin to run a business, and there are some hard times. Tell us about some of the hardest times, or a specific example where you just thought, wow, it's too hard, or, and I know you have a lot of resilience and grit and you just keep going, but there must have been moments when you were like, this is just not worth it.
Yeah, there for sure were. And I think the beginning was really tough. I was 16. The judgment was wild. I would walk into networking and there were people, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times, like years older than me. They would be in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s. They had significant more experience than I did in running a business. And then there was me waltzing in, 16 years old, probably looking more like 12 because I still look young for my age. So I looked even younger then. And people used to say to me, why would we trust you? And this first time someone asked me, I remember being like, I don't know, but why should you trust me? And then I realized, like, hold up a minute. Like, I'm not going to let this, like, it was my first, like, confrontational question where I thought, I don't know why you should trust me, actually. That's a really good question. And then I realized, no, wait, the reason you should trust me, and this was always my pitch when I was younger, is I'm growing up with social media. Social media is literally born and bred at the time that I'm old enough to go on social media. So why should you trust me? Because I get it. I just intuitively get it. I know how it works. I understand how buyers utilize social media because I'm one of them. You don't use social media yet. At the time, a lot of these people didn't see the benefit of social media. And so that was a really hard time where I thought, I'm judged everywhere I go. And as I used to stand up to do my pitch, you can feel the tension. People would almost have that prejudge. They didn't even have to say anything. It was just how they looked and that vibe you get from people. So that was really hard. Another time that was really hard was when it come to team. Like, hiring team was the hardest thing I ever had to do. Number one, I'm far too emotionally attached to people. So if someone gives me like a sob story, I want to save them and I want to help them. And learning to be a human and be a business owner and distinguishing the difference between the two was so hard. It's probably the hardest thing I have continued to struggle with because I just want to help everybody. That was really hard, and navigating just how to scale a team, how to hire, how to set good team morale, how to build a company that people want to be part of. That was really tough because, again, like, I had no one to learn from. I didn't have a clue how to do this. I was just like, I'm a good person and this is a good company and we make good results. Like, you should stick around and work with me. And I really tried to do that. I think that was really tough. But I think probably the hardest thing was just the amount of heaviness that I used to carry. I used to carry a lot of the clients' emotions as my own. So, the results, I got so invested into people's businesses individually that it almost became like I had 100 businesses and no one can emotionally manage 100 businesses. But rather than me being like the consultant or the person that's managing this aspect, because as the years went on, I realized how good I was at scaling businesses. I couldn't help myself but get more involved, not in terms of a physical way, but from a mental way. I used to think all the time about, we could do this with this business and maybe this campaign would work and maybe we could do this creative or we could put together this and maybe we could run this. And I used to think about it from the second I woke up in the morning to the moment I went to bed. And those kind of last couple of years until I decided to switch and grow the next business, they were really tough because I cried a lot because I loved what I did. But I was like, I cannot keep carrying this. And I didn't know how to let it go. I used to say to Carl, it felt like I had a 50-kilogram rucksack on my back, but it was like stitched into my skin. So I couldn't just drop it. I was like,
Mhm.
how am I going to get this rucksack off? I can't take the rocks out. I can't drop it. It's just attached to me. And that was really hard. And I think no one speaks about that mental load that you carry. And you have to learn how to hold and carry your clients, but not take it on as your own. And that's so
Mhm.
hard.
Yeah, yeah. And how have you worked through that? Because I'm sure so many people, many consultants listen to the show, and I feel like that's what they feel, or they coach one-on-one and they, want to help people, but they can't do it for them. And so, yeah, how did you get that mindset of, I care so deeply, because you do, and I can hand on heart work with you for the last year, you care so deeply, but how do you not, carry the rock?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think how I've done it is I looked back at me. The first thing I did was look back at me. I've never relied on anyone to save me or fix me or do it for me. I never went into business with any kind of mindset that it's going to be easy. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew it was going to be probably harder than I thought it was going to be. I knew I was going to have an incredible amount of resilience, an incredible amount of discipline, massive amounts of tenacity. And for me, I first of all looked back at who was I and what did I expect and not expect. And there was never a point, and there never has been a point, where I expected someone to do something for me. So the first thing was looking at what makes a successful entrepreneur or a successful business successful. One of the key things is taking responsibility for what you're creating. The second thing was realizing that without passion, people are always going to struggle. So there are people that I've met over the years who are solely in it for the money, and it's always heavy and it's always hard, and they never really get very far, or they get so far and then it crumbles. Because if you're relying on money alone, it's a very lonely, isolating journey because you are solely in it for yourself. And when you are in it for yourself, you become quite greedy, you become quite selfish, you blame other people because you expect it just to happen for you. So then I realized, okay, there are probably going to be people that I come across that do blame and are only in it for the money. And my job is to show them that passion has to come first. So the first thing was my story. The second thing was realizing that I can't do it for people, but I can give them the tools of what's required to be successful. And then the third thing, which I'm still probably working on myself, is just knowing that all you can do as a human being, all you can do as an entrepreneur, is do your best. And if I go to sleep at night every single day feeling proud of the person that I am and how in integrity I act, how much I help, how much I care, I I do not have an ounce of guilt in my body about how I operate my business. I know that I am an incredibly good human. I'm a massive embodiment of what I teach. I'm good at what I do, and I hold massive integrity. That's all I can do. If you combine those three things, and you can't do anything else. And it's still something that I struggle with. Every now and again I catch myself when I believe in a client so much, but they don't do it. I'm like, I have to remind myself, all I can do is show them their power. All I can do is give them the tools. All I can do is serve them as much as I possibly can. But what I can't do is decide that they're going to actually do it. And when I realized that that is simply a something completely out of my control, it made the heaviness lighter because all I then focused on was giving an incredible customer experience, an incredible customer journey, being so proud of who I am and how I operate in my business, knowing that I am a full embodiment of what I teach and I'm good at what I do and I practice what I preach, that actually no successful person would ever expect more than that. And that's when I realized that things started to shift. So
Mm.
that's kind of the main kind of process that I went through to realize that I can't carry this. It's not mine to carry.
Mhm, mhm. Oh, I love that. I think everyone needs to journal on that because that's amazing. Like, I am proud of myself today because of these things. Like that is so powerful. And I don't think we do that enough. Like, we beat ourselves down on what we didn't do or could have done better, or the growth we haven't seen yet, or whatever the case is, or the clients we didn't help, or the clients that didn't choose us, or whatever the case. But it's like, no, I've done these things today and I'm proud. I love that so much. So I think that's my journal prompt for today.
Love it. I love it.
Okay, now let's get into Overflow, because we sort of detoured, you burnt your old business to the ground. Is that when Overflow started? And, just take us through that growth journey. And yeah, because it's a great story.
Yeah, that is when, so the New Year's Eve 2022, I was like, I'm burning it down. And Carl was like, you're burning it down? I was like, I'm burning it down. And Carl's incredibly supportive, and he really believes that whatever I do is for the greater good of some kind. Even I was like, am I really going to burn this business down that I've literally grown for 10 years? Like, is this really sensible? But I realized, like, yeah, it is. And I took a couple of, days, I think it was until the 4th of January, to just think, what is it that I want to do? And I realized one of the blocks I had myself was, even though I taught social media, I had a massive issue myself of showing up on social media, because my business before the 10 years prior, a lot of it was offline. So I didn't have a social media presence. And so suddenly everything that I was teaching, I was like, I'm not going to have to do it myself. And I realized for the first time that this is really scary. Like, deciding to build, especially a personal brand company where you are the face of it, I didn't realize how scared I was going to be. And so I kind of went back and forth, procrastinated for about 2 days at the start of the year. And then I was like, let's just go for it. So I started posting on social media, and the mission at the beginning was, with social media, because I know how to grow on social media. So for me, it wasn't a case of, will this work? I knew what I had to do. It was more a case of, this was now taking my business that was a very good, profitable company, but I wasn't in the limelight as such, to now me having my face slapped all over social media. I knew that this was going to create massive amounts of impact. And so I had to just put my ego aside. I remember the first reel I recorded, I sent it to my friend. I was like, can you give me complete honest feedback? Do I look like a total idiot in this? And she was like, no, you look great. And I was like, she's lying. She's definitely lying. And so I posted it anyway. And obviously no one, I don't know if anyone judges, but I don't really care. Most people gave good feedback. And the only mission at the beginning was, if I can help this many people in 10 years in a traditional company where I am kind of tied for trading time for money, what if I built a business that could serve more people? And I could do what I'd done for 10 years on a way bigger scale, 10x, 100x, 1000x, 10,000x. And suddenly I realized that the possibility is completely limitless when it comes to social media. So I started posting, and I made myself a commitment. And I said this to Carl, I was completely detached from the results for 2 years. I said to Carl, I'm not going to look at how much money I've made. I'm not going to look at how many sales I've made. I'm not going to look at anything for 2 years. I didn't care. All I cared about was building something that gave me a good reputation, that built trust, that built community, that got me known for something. And so month 1, I think we brought in just over 1,000, which was, I was buzzing. I was like, first month on social media, and I'm doing this. Like, yes, please. I did so much for free in my first month. I would do free strategy calls because I needed to prove myself. I couldn't come online, even though I had 10 years experience, and expect people to trust me. I had no reputation online whatsoever, regardless of what I'd built prior to that. So I did like 50 free strategy calls in exchange for an honest review. I just showed up, I went live, I posted, I just messaged every single person that followed me, and I was like, I'm so grateful you're here, like, thank you, like, tell me about you. And the first month we did just over 1,000, and I was so happy with that. I was like, this is wild. But again, like, completely detached from the outcome, like completely detached from it. I just wanted to serve. And then it just took off. Like, week kind of 7, things just, it literally was like a rocket ship. I'm not even joking. One of the reels went viral. It had like 700,000 views. I gained 10,000 followers. I had people messaging me like, can I work with you? How can I work with you? And the one thing that I was so proud of is, and I'm still proud of it, to be fair, is throughout all of this, like even how we've grown over the last 2.5 years, I've not changed a bit. I'm just me who still has this absolute passion of helping people, who's still incredibly detached from everything that we're doing. Like, I'm not attached to the outcome. I'm not attached to the money. The only thing I'm attached to is the mission of helping people. And so that's what happened. We started posting. 7 weeks later, it kind of went a bit crazy. We hit our first 50K month in month 3, which was like so mind blowing. And we've continued to scale it ever since with this sole focus of overflow. So lots of wealth, lots of happiness, lots of presence, not just growing your business strategically, but growing yourself as a person. Like, I'm very proud of the person that I am and how I operate in life and how I operate in the world. And this is now the mission, to help as many people as I can become the healthiest, happiest, wealthiest, most grounded, present versions of themselves, which is what Overflow is.
Yes. Tell me the ups and downs, ebbs and flows of creating Overflow, because again, I've been, I don't know, in your world for a year and a half in total before I started working with you. So I have seen the growth and the evolution over time. So what was that journey like for you? And I would like you to say a little bit about the coaching you receive. Like, what help do you get for yourself?
Yeah, so like anything, it's really, you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to adapt and pivot, because the business that I had in January of 2023 is not the business that I have now. The mission is the same, but the whole thing is completely different. I quickly realized that I can't actually help people by just doing one-to-one calls. Like, that's great, but that does not give me much time, and it certainly doesn't give me much impact. So I then started thinking, how can I serve people on a bigger level, which means that I can help more people. They still get the support that they need, but it's in a more tiered approach. So, if someone's newer in business or they want less of an investment, there's still a space that's incredibly transformational. How can I create that? And then what about the next level? What about people that are ready for more hands-on mentorship? How do I create that? And how do I create a space where if people want sole one-to-one work with me, then that's available. And so over the time, I built this ecosystem vehicle where there's a space for everybody, whether you're just starting out, whether you want really hands-on mentorship, whether you want me every day, whether you want to speak to me once a week, whether you never want to speak to me, you just want to consume my trainings. Like, there is something for everybody inside. But I've had to have support myself. Like, I just don't believe that you can do this on your own. And so you have support from whoever your support network is. So for me, it's my family, like a couple of really close friends that I can confide in. Carla's incredible. But I've also had my own coach. And, I don't speak to my coach necessarily about strategy, because I'm really good at strategy myself. But what my coach is really good at is understanding what it's like to play at this level. There's not very many people that play at this level where you're holding a lot of people, a lot of energetic bodies. There's a lot of eyes on you. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of expectation. There's a lot of people reflecting what they think you should do onto you, even though you can't do it. It's not what's best for them. It's not what's best for you. But they haven't reached that level yet where they understand why you're making these decisions. And so for me, having a coach is so important, just to be a sounding board who can understand you, who can help you when things feel hard. I remember the first time I had a client go through a 3-month group coaching program. She was like a fantastic client, and this was the first ever group coaching program I ran. And I had message after message from her wins, how much money she'd made, the clients she'd signed. And then at the end of it, she issued a chargeback through Stripe. And I remember thinking, what? How could you do that? Like, you've literally shown me over the 3 months the results that you've got. And now you're doing a chargeback. And the thing with Stripe, which is a big flaw in Stripe, in my opinion, is that the customer usually always wins, because it's the customer's bank that decides. And so if someone issues a chargeback on Stripe, I don't know anyone that's ever won anything, even though I had a stack of evidence of the terms, the contract, the wins, the money she'd made, everything, the support, like everything, she still won. And that was the first time where I realized, wow, this is why you always need to have a coach and a mentor yourself. Because the sad thing is, I don't know a business that this has never not happened to. Every company I know, they have something like this has happened, a challenging client conversation, a difficult dynamic within your company. It's hard. And so I definitely have always had a coach. I'm actually still, I've signed with my current coach until September 2026. So I did a 2-year contract. I'm always someone that just stays inside a space. If it serves me, then I'm there for life. But I also have a nervous system coach. So I care a lot about my personal well-being. So I eat very clean, I exercise, I drink plenty of water, like I do all of the things. But I have a nervous system coach to help me regulate my nervous system, because it is a lot that you have to hold. I have a breathwork coach that I work with who ironically helps you breathe better. Like, you think that everyone can breathe, but you realize, a lot of people are very shallow breathers. So learning to breathe deep into your diaphragm and actually get a full breath. I work with a naturopath. So I work with someone who helps me, does my mineral checks, looks at like all of my levels of everything. So, I've just hired a PT. So that's something that I really care about. So for me, it's like, yes, I've built an incredible company and I help a lot of people, but I also help myself. And I think this is something that's so important. You should always, always invest in help for yourself. A coach, a mentor, someone to guide you, someone to help you. Because if you think you can do this alone, you're going to be quite shocked when you realize that it's so much easier when you've got people around you that are there when things feel hard and can just keep you upright.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I cannot agree with you more. Yes, surround myself by great people. Otherwise, it's just so hard to do it alone, and it's just not necessary, I feel like. So, yeah. And all of those coaches, I love that. I'm like, ooh. And a PT, I'm guessing, is a personal trainer.
Yeah, personal
Yeah,
trainer. I've
because
always done like a lot of exercises from
it's a
home.
physiotherapist in
Oh, yeah,
America.
yeah.
I also learned that. I was like, I'm going to my physio. What is that? So I'm like,
No,
I don't
personal trainer, like
know.
someone
Yes,
at the gym that can help me.
yes,
Like, I love
making you
yoga
strong.
and I love
Yeah.
Pilates and I like going
Mhm.
for runs and things like that. But I felt like I've only literally just hired him as my personal trainer, but just to build more strength, like push yourself
Mhm.
more
Mhm.
and build more strength, and yeah, personal trainer
Yeah.
all the way.
Yes, yes. Oh, I love that. Okay, so let's get into a question or two that I haven't asked you yet. So, and it's true for entrepreneurs, for people in careers. What are we not speaking about enough when it comes to building a life and work that we love?
This is a good question. I feel like it's something that this is why I'm so passionate about Overflow as a whole, because there is truth about balance where there will be some days that your business comes first and you work a lot and it feels like all you've done that day is think about work or consume work or breathe work. Like, if you want to run a company, you can't expect it to always be smooth sailing, right? It's like there will be times where that happens, but we are past the time where you can only build a business like that. We are surrounded by opportunity, especially with social media, where you can build a business where, yeah, you're still going to have those days. I still have those days where I'm like, I've been sat out here for 15 hours, but it's because I've chosen to. I've chosen to sit here and do it because I feel in the zone and things are getting done and I'm not missing out on anything special. But I think what we're not speaking about is the amount of unhappiness in entrepreneurs. And it's amazing the people I speak to. I speak to people making 6 figures, multi 6 figures, 7 figures a year, sometimes even a month. And they're not happy. They have built an amazing company. They are making a lot of money. They are helping a lot of people at the complete detriment to their own happiness. And I think if more people were honest with themselves and said, actually, you don't have to be massively unhappy all the time, but are you thriving in life? Are you waking up in the morning and just obsessed with your marriage, with your life, with your body, with who you are, with your business, with your impact? Like, not a lot of people are, because we get sucked into this mundane approach of, well, I have to do this. And the worst thing that I hear entrepreneurs say is, when I have, I will do. And it's like, no, you won't. Because when you have the next 10 clients, when you have this amount of money, when you sign this massive contract, there will be something else. Because a lot of entrepreneurs base their success on this external goal. But when you base it on an external goal of money or clients or revenue or profit or whatever it might be, you will never get there, because you start getting close and you move the goalpost. You start getting close and you move the goalpost. And then before you know it, you've missed your kids grow up. You've missed years that you should have been focusing on your health. You've missed family time. You've missed moments where you should have been present, but you're too busy thinking about work and something magical is happening in front of your eyes. And this is why I'm so passionate about this, because I think the way we're going, a lot of entrepreneurs are going to get to being 100 years old, looking back at their life and think, yeah, I built an amazing company, but at such a cost, such a massive cost. Whereas I want to change this narrative so that when you're 100 years old and you're looking back at your life, you can say, I've built an incredible company and I've built an incredible life. I was a present human being. I was a present parent, a present partner, a present son, daughter, wife, auntie, uncle, nephew, whatever it might be. Like, I lived and succeeded rather than just survived and succeeded. And I think that that's something that a lot of people aren't talking about, because it's quite a scary thing to admit to yourself that you're not happy, or you're not as happy as you should be, or you're prioritizing work. It's not like a fun thing to have to admit, but I think it's essential. It's essential.
Oh, I relate to that so much. I mean, thanks to you, I have goals when I'm like, when I get here, I'm going to stop doing things, which is huge for me because I just want to do everything. So,
Yeah.
like, okay, when I get here, I can stop doing this. So,
Yeah.
give myself permission to not do everything. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that is such a powerful message, honestly. And I want to repeat it a million times in my own self, like have a thing on my, like I have a wall right in front of me, just have it like written here. Are you living like enjoying where, I mean, I'm obsessed with my work and as are you, but it's like you also have other asset,
Yeah.
facets of your life. So yeah, so powerful. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We're coming close to the end. I could literally chat to you all day. All right. So let's wrap up with the final question, and then you can tell everyone how they can work with you, what you do, the transformation, all of that lovely stuff. But the question is, go back to your younger you, and it could be 6-year-old you or 20-year-old you. What would you thank yourself for doing then?
I feel like the thing I would thank myself for the most is believing in myself when everything was against me. The reason I am where I am, the main reason, is because I've always chose to believe that I can do it. Even when I was in the depth of my eating disorder, even when I had my anxiety, even when I was getting bullied, even when I had no evidence that it was going to work, when people were judging me, when it really felt like I was at the bottom of a very, very, very steep mountain, I just chose to believe I can do it. I brainwashed myself. I used to study successful people and how they came from nothing, and people that were born in countries with no opportunity and they found a way to make it work. And I would think, well, if they can do it, I can. They're just the same as me. Like, the only thing that's different is this oomph inside of you of like, how much do you want it? Like, are you going to be a victim to your environment? Are you going to get on and make it happen? And I remember laying there, I was so underweight and so thin and so poorly with my eating disorder, but I was still fairly happy, because I thought, one day I'm going to tell this story and it's going to make sense, and one day I can talk about how I could have easily been a victim to my situation. I didn't leave the house for about 2 years. Like, it was hard, but I didn't. I worked from home and found a way to make it happen, right? It's like, I'm so proud, and I would massively thank her. Like, if little me, could walk in the room now, I would give her a massive hug and be like, that must have been so tough. Like, it was so tough. But how proud I am of that little version of me, that throughout everything that I went through and everything that people go through, like, you choose to rise. And I think that is what I would definitely thank my younger self for, is that grit and that belief in themselves, that even though it feels hard right now, one day you're going to tell this story. And if it helps one person, then it's worth it.
Oh, I love that so much. I'm thinking back to your conviction when I listened to that training. I still message you. I'm like, I am in tears. I was listening while I was making coffee or tea or something in the kitchen. So I was just listening to your audio and I just burst into tears. I was like, oh. So that's like, yeah, you really do embody the work you do. And yeah, it's just a privilege to know you.
Thank you.
All right. How can people work with you? What do you
All
do?
right.
What are all the things? I know we've mentioned it, from courses to one-on-one, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you've probably got a good idea of the transformation, right? It's like making a load of money, scaling your business, understanding the strategy behind it, because strategy is the foundation. Without strategy, you're going to struggle a little bit. So it's like the strategy, but the bespoke strategy for your specific company, because no one strategy is the same. It's not like one works and one doesn't. So if you're someone that wants to scale your business and you want the strategy, you want to make a lot of money by having a lot of impact, you want to become known for the thing that you're so passionate about, that's your zone of genius, that's what I help people do. I help people to take, whether they currently have a business or they're brand new, take what it is and blow it up and make it 100 times bigger, 100 times bolder, but also at the same time, you become somebody different in the best possible way. So you're not just growing your company, you're growing yourself. And that is such a beautiful but very unique situation where you build a company you're proud of and you're proud of the person you are. Not many people can say that. And so this is why, like, the whole transformation is inside of Overflow. And there's multiple different ways that we can work together, whether it's through the courses, which are a one-time payment, and you just come in and you pick a course that's right for you based on what you need. And you can always message me on Instagram and I can point you in the right direction. Or if you're looking for something kind of longer term, we have the Hub and Overflow. So the Hub is just a monthly membership. It's full of incredible stuff. There's roadmaps in there, there's trainings in there. We do a new monthly training every single month. I drop audios in there all about strategy and identity and who you need to become and how you can get better results. But if you want more access to me, then the Overflow Mastermind is incredible. And this is where you can come in and just get the most incredible support from me directly to really scale your business, scale your life. And the best feedback I get from people is like, yeah, I've grown my business and I'm making more money than I've ever made, but I am happier and I have the closest relationship and I'm the best version of myself. Like, for me, I'm like, ticked. Like, that is it. That is the transformation, when someone is wealthier, but at the same time, they're so much happier as well. So yeah, that's me. And that's how you can work with me. But really the best thing is to message me on Instagram and then we can have a chat and see what avenue is best for your situation.
Yeah. Meet people where they are, for sure. Yes. And honestly, and I say it all the time to people, I would not be in business today. I don't know what I would be doing. I've said to my husband so many times, like, I surprise myself that I don't just lie down and binge Netflix sometimes, because it gets so hard. And I'm like, I haven't done that. I've had 2 days in like the last 18 months where
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
pretty good.
I can't today. But yeah, you have literally helped me be where I am, and yeah, love my business and life. So yeah, you are the real deal.
Thank you so much.
So, yeah, and thank you for sharing your story. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Bye.